Hello, welcome back to my channel. I am I am re- today I am reacting to what's the dumbest thing an American has ever said to you, part 2, because I like the first part, and if you watch the first part, you know I only knew one country from Middle America. I looked it up now. I actually knew two others, Honduras and Costa Rica, but I wasn't sure about them, so I'm sorry. Yeah. But let's start this one and have some fun about them.
I'm kind of curious. What is the dumbest thing an American has ever said to you?
So I'm Malawian. I live in the US, but my first time in the US was in 2012 in San Diego. And so one time we went to a restaurant with this girl and I think three other guys. And so we're standing in line. I think it was a fish restaurant, and then we get the menus, right? Like the one of the places you go in front and then you order, and then you have to go back. And so I'm looking at the menu. I mean, something you do at a restaurant.
Yes.
And this girl, nobody asked her, but just looks at the waiter. Like, I wasn't even at the front of the line, but she looks at the waiter and she says, "Oh, so these two, so me and my best friend, we need some time because they're from Malawi and that's in Africa. So I don't think they'll be ready to order anytime soon. So they'll need time and maybe have a lot of questions." Well, my best friend and I looked at each other and
That's
we're
a
like,
bit
"Yeah, we're not
weird.
eating here, not with them. We're going home." So, yeah.
Good job, yeah. That doesn't make any
So
sense.
I was
That's
living in
racist.
New York at the time, and I'm originally from southern Spain, and I was at this dinner party in New York City, and I was talking to this guy, and he finds out I'm from Spain, and he goes like, "Dude, so how long does it take you to drive from Spain to Manhattan?" And I was like,
You can't drive from Spain to Manhattan.
and I looked at my friends, and my friends were like, "You did." So I was like, I'm not gonna see this guy ever again in my entire life, so at least let's have a laugh at it. And I looked at him straight in the eye as serious as I could, and I was like, well, depending on the traffic and the fog, because you know the ocean, it might take 18 to 20 hours. And he elbowed his friend and was like, "Dude, I told you it takes longer to drive to Texas." And I was like, he did not say that, but he did. He actually did. Oh my god, it was one hell of a night.
Yes, I can imagine.
Well, I am from northern Mexico, and 2 years ago I was on the beach. I was talking to an American, and
Okay.
he thought I was British. I think it was because of my accent.
Yeah.
So I asked him what he thinks about Mexicans, and he said something like this: "Well, Mexicans don't prosper because they are dark, short, ugly, eat beans every day, and they have no education. So they have to
Oh,
go
yeah.
to my country." And then I said, "What? Are you mental? I am Mexican, bro. There's nothing wrong with being dark."
Yeah.
And yeah, I like beans, but today I had lobster for dinner, and I am about 4 inches taller than you. And by the way, I think I am more handsome than you.
Michael, yeah,
Oh my
good
god,
job.
I have so many of this, but this was specifically
Let them
stand
hear.
out.
Let us
I'm
hear.
from Venezuela.
Yeah.
So Latinos, we look very different from each other. We
Yes,
don't have a
you do.
specific look that we all look, right? So I currently live in Atlanta, and Atlanta has a very good baseball team, the
Yes.
Braves. And one of their top players is Venezuela, Acuna. I
Oh,
was at
okay.
this sports
know.
bar with American friends, and we were talking about Acuna and how he was Venezuelan, and you know, Venezuela has great talent for baseball players. And he said, "Oh, Acuna's Venezuelan?" And I was like, "Yeah, isn't that great? He's great." And he was like, "Oh, but he's black." And I was like,
So what?
"Yeah." And he was like, "I didn't know Venezuelans were black." And I was like, "What?"
So I was an
The
exchange student
American
in the US, and I would
aren't the
randomly
only
get
ones who have
asked by
black people.
questions. And then one time I said I was Asian because Philippines is in Southeast Asia. And then they literally said, "Philippines is in Asia?
Yes.
I thought it was in Europe."
No, it's not in Europe. Oh my god.
Girl. And then one time I was in the bus, I got asked, "Do you have school? Do you have
No,
four animals in the
no,
Philippines?
nobody in the world has
Do you
schools.
know what an iPhone is?"
Yes,
Where
of
would you
course.
think of some sort of a different planet? Like, this is why you need to go to school.
Yes. Exactly.
God.
How much time you got, motherfucker? I could do this shit all day.
Him again.
I'm going to Florida.
We had this one
Oh,
before.
really? Are you driving? Are you flying?
The one with
I
the
drove
map.
and it took me 17 hours. 17 hours? How many days is that? I want to visit Europe. Oh, really? What countries are you visiting? Oh, you know,
The basics. There are no
I
basics.
don't know.
Again,
There's no
what
tutorial
is the
to
basics? Like
visiting countries. Do you mean Italy,
England,
France, Spain,
Ireland,
Portugal?
Spain,
Stop
Germany, Austria.
Portugal's
What's like the
not
basics
in Europe.
for you?
It is. However, let's pull up a map.
Yeah,
That
good.
way we know what countries you would like to visit. Okay,
This
now
one is
looking
so
at this
funny.
map, where would you go? I would go to the Netherlands because
Because
it's
it's next.
next to Amsterdam. It is the capital
Capital
city
city.
of the Netherlands. We are looking at a map. God damn it!
Yeah.
When I was 14, we emigrated from Ireland to America,
Mhm.
and obviously because I was 14, I had to go to school. So my first day of school, I went into my history class,
I love the
and
Irish
they were
accent.
showing Far and Away as a movie about Irish immigration.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Hilarious. And you know, they were showing all the thatched roof cottages and everything like that, and a girl turns around to me and she's just like, oh my god, is that what your house is like back in Ireland? And I was just like, yeah, totally. And she obviously didn't get the sarcasm isn't a very big thing there.
Yeah. It
But
sounds
also,
like it.
you know, this is the 90s, you know, we had no internet that back then, or Google
Yeah.
or whatever, so people didn't really know much about it. So yeah, I could have made up anything, but
I
that
like
was
the
one of
Irish
few
accents. They are
things
so
that were
great.
said to me when I lived in America.
Okay.
If there are Irish people out there, I love your accent. I've spent 1 year in Ireland when I was 16, many years ago. It was just the best thing ever. Your accent is great. Your people are the best. So yeah, I love you guys. Thumbs up if you are an Irish, please. Thank you.
So middle school Adya was on the bus ride home from school, 8th grade, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And you know,
okay.
all the kids, all the
So-
cool kids were 8th graders, were like in the back of the bus.
13,
We're
14?
just talking, and this kid,
14. Yes.
I remember his name, Brandon.
It's always
asks,
a Brandon.
so when do you
yeah.
get your thing? And I'm like, what thing?
What
like,
thing? Yeah.
He's like, you're Indian, right? And I was like, yeah, I'm Indian. Like, what thing? And he was like, don't you have to get that thing in your
Oh
forehead?
my god.
And I was like, what are you
That's
talking about? He's like, don't you have to get
religious.
surgery, or like, don't they have to like
It's
implant
color.
that thing in your forehead? This man was talking about bindis.
Yeah.
He thought we got.
It's a religious thing.
It's a
for
sticker.
Some
I
of
don't-
them. And yeah,
I don't know.
obviously it's paint or something.
Yeah.
Back in college,
my
I was
God.
working as a technical support representative in one of the biggest telcos in the US. One time I had this very angry customer because she's been transferred from one line to another. That's why she's very enraged. But I managed to calm her down when I promised to do my best to solve her problem because she's now on the right line. While I am rebooting all of her system, including her internet, she asked, am I talking to a monkey from the Philippines? Then I was like,
How you
what do you
could
mean by
talk
that?
to a monkey?
of course, I have to pretend I don't know what she meant. And she answered, never mind. You can't even grow apples there. And I was like,
What?
you know what, ma'am? I wanted to tell you something. You know, in the Philippines, we are producing one of the sweetest banana in the world. And we're shipping it to the US. You know why?
Because
asked
you are the
why.
monkeys.
Because in the Philippines, only monkeys eat bananas.
Yeah,
That's
good.
why we're shipping it there.
Good one.
So, we went to the zoo a few months ago, and we're looking at those kangaroos, and I say something to my daughter along the lines of, oh, look at these kangaroos. And this lady behind me corrects me and says, like, oh, no, those are wallabies, which they weren't. They were
They
kangaroos.
were
I know the
kangaroos.
difference.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm not correcting her.
They're probably
We move
even
on,
as
and
same thing.
eventually
It's
she hears me
kan-
talk to my family,
kangaroos.
and she's like, so where's your accent from? And I told her from Austria, and she's like, oh, you should have known then that those are not kangaroos.
Ah, she's Austrian. Hello, I'm also Austrian. We hate this kangaroo thing. that happens often actually, and I have another zoo story not related to kangaroos, but I spent time when I was young with some Americans and back in Vienna, and they said like, yeah, what could we do here? And I said like, well, we have the oldest zoo. It's nearly 250 years old. Like, the oldest zoo in the world. And I was like, yes, it's the oldest zoo in the world. But I didn't know that lions could get 250 years old. And I'm like, did you really ask that? And he said, yeah. Like, yes, and elephants and stuff. And I said like, the zoo is 250 years old, not the animals. He looked at me like I was an alien, like, what are you talking about? It's all the same animals, like they are never changed and stuff. It was like really fun to look at his brain go in thinking mode. So like, okay, he said, but I don't think it's older than the United States. And I said, yes, it is, because it's really old. Back when the emperor made it, and he was like, you had an emperor? And I was like, yes, the Holy Roman Empire and stuff, and he goes like, the Romans are from Italy and left. And I was like, okay, now I know Americans are really dumb.
I mean, no shade to Americans, because I do dumb shit all the time. But I once had a lady comment on a post when I said, thank God it's Friday, and she said, it's Thursday, hun. And I said, no,
it's Friday.
In Australia,
yeah,
it's
Friday. Yeah, it makes sense.
And then she accused me of gaslighting her, to which I answered, I'm going to blow your mind when I tell you that it's actually summer in Australia too.
Yes.
While you're in winter. And then she called me a terrorist.
Oh yeah, okay, makes sense.
I'm kind of curious.
So that was really interesting. And yeah, it looks like the American education system isn't the best. I hope you enjoyed it. Again, if you're an Irish person and watching, thumbs up. I want to know how many Irish people have been watching this video. And shout out to all Americans who are not dumb. I know it's not all of you, but yeah, you guys really have a thing for sending the dumb people to other countries. So like, yeah. Thanks again. See you next time. Bye.